Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a change up. I leave the city and return with my change up. They got amnesia, don't remember how they played us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are back to recap yet another episode of BMF. This is season 1, episode 2, and it's titled Rumors. So if you guys hang tight, we'll go ahead and get started in a few.
How do rumors get started? I'm sorry. Okay.
Busy, I know where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. You can't trust.
All right, everyone, we are back. And like I said, we are talking BMF. We are so impressed with this show so far. And apparently a lot of people are, because after one episode airing, it has already been renewed for season 2.
Wow.
So that was good news to hear. Congratulations to them.
Right. And hats off to 50 Cent. I mean, you know, this brother, you know him as the entertainment guy, but I mean, his hands in the film industry is really showing itself. I mean, even to take Demetrius' son and making sure that he, you know, set him up for 2 years of acting so that he could, you know, do a good job in this storytelling is just absolutely phenomenal for 50 Cent. I love him. You know, that's some forward thinking. That's a vision that you don't normally get from just an average entertainment guy. So 50, hats off, bro.
Yes,
Awesome.
and shout out to Big Meech's mom, real life mom, Lucille, and also the actress that plays Lucille, McCall White. They both have been showing us a lot of love on social media. So shout out to them.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Yeah, so you guys want to go ahead and dive into this episode because
Yes.
it was a lot going on. We had kind of figured that Terry wasn't going to die from his injury based on what we know in real life. So we kind of got to see the aftermath of his getting shot, being rushed into the hospital, having to undergo surgery. And, you know, it seemed like it was okay for a second after the initial surgery. And then he kind of like collapses in the hallway and we're like, okay, what happened there? And it comes out that maybe the surgeons had some kind of, you know, misdealings and
He had an infection first.
Yeah, he ended up getting an infection in his wounds. And that was a problem because Charles was like, look, y'all not about to play with me.
Yeah.
Right.
He told them.
Yeah, well, I like that about the man because, you know, he's a real G as far as the father is concerned. You know,
that doctor was shaking his
that
boots.
doctor, hey,
And
that
he
doctor-
should have been.
Exactly, because, you know, it's like that when we get in, you know, when we go to the hospital, we don't get the same care as others. And, you know, and I like the fact that he put him on notice. You know, let me find out that you all botched this surgery and we're going to have a problem. And, you know, true to real life, this is what happened to Terry. You know, the only fluff in the actual show, and I hope I'm not spoiling it for anybody, but the only fluff was Terry didn't actually get shot because he, you know, somebody was trying to rob him. He just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and got some shrapnel and hit him in the right eye. The true part of that whole story is, you know, they did sue the doctors, and they were able to get some funds together to start their Sedan campaign, which was really the springboard to get them to move drugs and money, you know, all over the
Clean the money.
As Tiffany was saying before we started, how many states do you think they were in? You know, they had a list of states. So Atlanta was their main hub.
But yes, I know that this is still early in the story. And so I'm hoping, you know, that everybody can kind of like get to see the progression, because we kind of get hints of it with them wanting to go off on their own away from Pat. And so I think that this is the beginning of that foundation to where they really blow up, because, you know, he kept saying like, we good right now, but I want to be a king of this.
They don't want a middleman. And you can see from the previews for next week, with Pat, I was like, conflict is coming.
It's never good when you getting pulled to sit in the car and it's got the plastic lining. And I was like, they better get it together.
Yeah, that's something. But these brothers, I mean, they established a mogul that you just don't ordinarily do. The DEA, the FBI, the Internal Revenue Service. No one saw them coming. In fact, there's a documentary out, if you care to watch it, called BMF Official Documentary, and you really get the true story of what went down. And I have to give it again to 50 Cent, while he gives us enough to keep us interested, but he does put in some truism in there that you really should know about. But these guys amassed over a 20-year period in the late, I should say mid 2000, a conservative figure of over $270 million. And we say conservative because there were still drugs when they got caught. There were still thousands of kilos of cocaine that hadn't even hit the streets yet. So, but these guys, they were so...
I think it was strategic. Yeah, very businesslike. And then you get it from Meech's character, particularly in this episode, that he was thoughtful. He was very strategic, and he would weigh things and think about things, and he wasn't necessarily emotional, right? Even though we saw some emotional outbursts, I think he was tempered in his response and in his actions. And so I think that kind of shows when you consider the way that they ran their business and how they were able to stay kind of undetected,
And true to form, Terry.
And they were young. And I think that's the other part about it, is that they were so young. You know,
they were. And true to form, Terry was the real business person. Meech was a little flamboyant, but Terry was the business master. And I think that the two of them working together, and you do see it in the episode here. But Meech had it going on up here as well. I mean, he understood that you can't be leaving bodies all over the street and run.
Which brings me to my first person on my who gotta get the hands list.
And I second that for who can get the hands.
I think me and Tiffany are in agreement, and Ron and Wanda, y'all probably also agree about this B-Mickey character.
Yes, he's got to go.
He was, okay, so first of all, he's in Meech's crew, but he's not at the top with them. He's still, under them in terms of the hierarchy. But you could hear even in conversation when he was talking with Kato, and they were saying like, oh, Terry and Meech, they really know what they doing. Huh? He's like, we know what we doing. Like he was trying to include himself as part of the brains of the situation.
I think he's their third partner. I think he's a third silent partner though.
They definitely take his opinion into consideration, but ultimately he doesn't have a say so on what gets done.
He does not.
And he doesn't seem to realize that, because he has been pressing Meech this entire episode to avenge Terry, even though these rumors that have been started are just that, rumors. And so, like you were saying, Meech is really being calculated and weighing things out and seeing like, we don't know what the truth is. And then if I kill this guy, then his family gonna come back and get me, then my family gonna get him, and it's gonna be a back and forth. And that's not good for anybody.
No.
And so this B-Mickey kid, I mean, he really was blowing me because he took it upon himself to off J-Mo. And that was a big problem, especially after the officer had already gone out of his way and said, look, don't, scare him, shake him up, but don't kill him.
Fluff him up, but don't touch him.
How crooked
I'm the last person he's seen with me picking him up.
Yes, that's gonna be a conflict.
Right. How crooked is Detective Bryant though? In fact, I think he saved Meech.
Oh, he saved him at the very beginning when he rolled up in there,
rolled up in the hospital,
waving all over the place.
Yeah, but then again, now now he's going to be implicated in the death of J-Mo. He's going to be implicated in that because, like he said, don't just rough him up a little bit, and then here you go, Tommy, has to go out and act wild. So I guess you got to have a Tommy in every ghost organization. So B-Mickey is Tommy, I suppose, because these two brothers certainly were acting like ghosts. But it's always, you got to have that one in your group.
No, B-Mickey. My thing with him is, you killed him, but you're like, I'll give you the credit for it. I'll tell everybody it was you. Like, that's some kind of consolation.
Right, and that's not even his issue, because if he wanted to do it, he would have done it himself. And the thing is, I've been watching some interviews with Miles Truitt that plays B-Mickey, and he said that, that B-Mickey's character wants his respect, and he wants to be, and he has his own way of doing things, and he wants to do things differently from them. So you can already see that that's going to be a conflict too. It makes me wonder if it's going to get to the point that he'll have to branch off. Like, are they going to have to cut him off? Are they going to be at war? Like,
because
he clearly off. Or he's going to have to be off, because clearly he has his own way of doing things, and he wants the power too. He wants,
And I was surprised to see how Meech took it. I mean, he went against your order. Meech wasn't going to kill him. He just takes his gun out and shoots him. You can't have anybody like that in your organization. You're not going to.
He said, you've been my boy for 10 years. So I think that was part of it too. Like, he crossed him, but this is not no ordinary dude. This also was his boy.
Yeah, but your boy just got you caught up in
he did.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long B-Mickey gonna be around, but he seems very he's too determined to do things his way, and I think that's gonna put him on the outs of the organization.
Yeah, because he's becoming a liability.
And see,
he's putting him in the crosshairs, and even that's gonna cause a breach between Meech and the detective. Because even in the previews for next week, I don't know if you guys saw that the cop was saying something like, what is it about these Flannery boys?
Like, that you think they're the priests.
So he's gonna be getting heat because it's the appearance that he's protecting them.
Yeah.
And B-Mickey ain't make things,
Well, the only credit I will give B-Mickey, which I don't even know if I want to give him this, but Kato, she was kind of getting attacked by the crackhead. He wasn't paying attention, which is kind of why, she ended up getting in the tussle in the first place, because he should have they both should have checked the house for real.
Yeah, but here's okay.
I like Kato though. I
like Kato.
Kato is smart and she can handle herself.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I love Kato. I mean, when you get tackled like that, most women, that would have been it. But Kato
was rumbling.
She was rumbling. And B-Mickey is standing in the threshold of the doorway, just watching.
Well, he was out in the back, but once he
was in the back.
But when he came,
no, he was standing there watching her on top of the
when he
stood there for a minute.
Yeah, he stood there for a minute.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that was a minute too long, bro. You should have been all over top of that dude.
I think he was just in awe because she was handling.
Yeah,
like she really ain't need his help because she had things under control.
Yeah, she really did. The only bad thing was that the drugs got wasted.
Oh yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say about Kato too, because B-Mickey was really putting the press on her, and I like how she told him, like, look, I'm not sleeping with nobody in the crew because I want my respect. And the second I do that, I lose my position in terms of the way the men view me.
Yeah, but wait a minute. She got a little frisky though when she asked.
Yeah, I think she likes him.
Feeling him. She like him.
Yeah,
but I appreciate her at least putting up a little bit of space in between them. She's trying to fight it.
I felt her. I felt where she was coming from. I was here for it. But I was just like, but she was like, you got any vodka? When she said she was gonna stay around, hang with him, I was like, she like him too. It might be a matter of time. She's saying that now, but it'll be a matter of time. It's gonna be on and popping.
She was on him the moment she took her shoe off and asked for the vodka, and you can see where she looked at him. She kind of looked him up and down real quick.
She's definitely feeling him.
I was like, okay, we see where this going.
Yeah. Right.
And that's B-Mickey again putting the organization at risk.
Yes. Yeah.
But, it's funny though, in the documentary, Terry, Meech says, we don't fight over no hoes. Pardon my expression, but he said, we share them. If you want mine, hey, no problem. If I want to get yours, I'll get yours. So
I don't think they want her. I just think it would just complicate
no,
the
it's
business.
right. No, it would.
That's the only reason why they would have an issue.
Yeah, because she seems to, she seems to be right on with what she's, with her thing, and B-Mickey is just all over the place right now, and I'm trying to understand how this is going to work with him. So, you might have to. Yeah, I think you got to take him out quick, because sooner the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a problem. The other person who in this episode was absolutely the problem, oh boy, Lamar.
Well, didn't we say that he was the one that shot? I'm telling you, he playing chess. He
and
crazy.
Terry said the same thing. All these rumors are going around, but he was like, I think Lamar might have been, the one responsible.
Absolutely, because Terry is smart.
Yeah, he's smart.
I mean, look, he wants his business back, and that's what he did. Didn't Kanan do the same thing to Ghost? He infiltrated their organization, and the same.
And that's exactly what Lamar is doing. He went around and started this rumor about J-Mo. He hooked up with the dude Slick and his crew, and they kind of talking and getting in good. Then he also Kwame was a separate issue. Meech already suspected Kwame, so he got short end of the stick in this one.
But see, but then he goes up, and later on, then Lamar goes up and beats the hell out of Famil.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to, okay.
When is he dead?
He put him
I don't think so.
I don't think he is.
I'm not sure that he was dead either, but the thing is, like with J-Mo out the way, and they get, because he is the soldier to J-Mo.
Right.
He can take that top spot.
Exactly.
And Meech had already made the offer to Famil to, get J-Mo out the way and let's do this together.
Right.
And so now that J-Mo actually is out the way, and Lamar is the new problem. I mean, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if they are both against Lamar in this situation, it would make a lot of sense for Famil and Meech to come together at this point.
Well, I think,
having J-Mo gone, they don't have a head of their organization at this point in time.
And the fact that, Lamar beat J-Mo in the head, Famil in the head with something. I don't know what it was, but I started hearing these crackling noises like a skull was being cracked. So it would be interesting if he survives.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I think he's dead, and I think it's a great way for Lamar, as you were saying, to step in and take over the 12th Street.
I don't think Famil is dead.
I wasn't sure if he was dead either, because he didn't look like he was dead when he picked him up to put him in the dumpster. I was like, oh, he's still moving. And I was like,
he just might be unconscious or something like that.
Right.
He also didn't rob him, so it had to be a point for him to attack him, because I would think that if he were to rob him, killing him might be his strategy for people not knowing it's him, for a way to cover his tracks, right? But he didn't. He left him there for a purpose. I don't know if he's trying
to send a message.
Yeah, he was sending a message.
Get down and lay down.
Yeah,
another message.
It's a message, but it's a dangerous one too, because Famil doesn't look like a punk. So, if he's not,
but Lamar crazy. Lamar already got.
He might be crazy. He might be crazy. Look, a bullet don't care how crazy you are. It'll take you out no matter how crazy you are. And I don't see Famil, punking out like that if he's still alive. It's going. I
don't know. Somebody put you in a dumpster, you might think twice.
Put me in a dumpster, I may think 3-4 times.
You might think twice.
Let's just say, don't put me in no dumpster. Okay.
And that the situation with Lamar and the fact that he was receiving the advice to soften his approach with Mo, I hope she does not fall for any of his trickery.
I don't think she is. I think she's just like, oh, this is nice and everything, but her expression still was kind of like, all right, nigga.
Lamar went to school on how to soften Mo's attitude, and it seemed to be working. So if he just follows that line of thinking, and he took notes, and it seemed to be working.
Well, Slick told him what to do.
Yeah, Slick told him, and Slick
told him, because he was real heavy-handed, like going to the school and showing off in front of the baby, like scared her half to death, and the teachers and everything. And Zoe is a lot older than I thought she was. When he came to the door and he had, in the first episode, he had that little teeny bracelet. I thought she was a little girl.
Right.
But then when I saw her at the school, I was like, oh, she looks like she's like a preteen or,
yeah.
you know, 11, 12. I don't know.
Yeah, she did seem like that. But I just, I don't know. Lamar.
Lamar just ain't got no qualms about nothing. He busts
No.
his down in the bathroom. I'm
Yeah.
like, he just is all over the place.
Okay, that bathroom thing. I mean, come on.
Listen, he's been gone for 4 years. You heard him. He said he had to get it. He wasn't gonna get it from Mo. So
I got no words. Okay, I am staying clear. I got no words.
Yeah, Lamar can get the hands. That's how I'm gonna leave it at that. He can
Right.
get the hands.
He got a lot more than hands, but
you know what?
The church sister sitting there listening. I felt so bad for
I
her.
felt bad for her too. I was like, oh my goodness, sis. You know, but Slick, he ain't gossiping somebody. I'm like, you know, they say that women gossip, but I think this episode proved that, you know, some of y'all men, I ain't gonna say all men, some of y'all gossip just as much as women.
Yeah.
And he was over there, even when Mo and Lamar had their little showdown in front of his house. He was over there with his little Jerry curl cap and stuff, like he was eating popcorn. I mean, I don't know if he was eating popcorn, but he had his snacks. He was catching all the tea, watching like he was watching Love and Hip Hop or something.
Yeah.
yeah, he did.
Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, I like what he said. He said, "Look, man."
Yeah, when he found out that wasn't his chassis.
He said, "Look, I like what Slick said." He said, "Man, look, I got neighbors, so you got to,
Right,
you know,
right.
slow this down a little bit." But hey, you know, you always got to have a funny man. So, but you know, most brothers know loose lips sink ships, and you know, you got to understand, you got to keep it tight. But like you said, you know, he just happens to be a brother likes to run his mouth.
Lamar knew that too. That's why he told him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about with Meech and Terry and their situation, because this episode they were both kind of being pressured to get out of the game. And you know, Terry was receiving it from Lawanda, and then Meech was receiving it from mom, mom mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems like, you know, the more they are trying to pursue this game, and you know, you heard Terry saying, you know, I love this.
Yes,
I love the thrill of it. And
Mhm.
I think Meech probably feels the same exact way.
Yeah.
But you know, mom is like, I can't, there's only so far a mother's love can go. And you know, dad was like having that conversation with her. She's saying, if I don't want to know I don't want to feel responsible for something goes wrong with Meech in the street, should we put him out? But he's like, what happens if something happens to us? You know, how you gonna feel then? And I was like, well, he made a good point. I think he
That's
got
a
through
good
to her.
And the daughter. And the thing was this though, what tripped me out is we talked about this last week, how they still see Terry as the golden boy. Like they had no idea that Terry is a mastermind out here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and you know, Nicole kept saying, I'm tired of lying to mom and dad. You know, you put me in this and not thinking about how it affects me.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're just like, oh, this is all your fault. And from that standpoint, I kind of felt bad for Meech, because I was like, it's true, he is the big brother. He's not setting a good example as far as that. However, we know that Terry is in this 10 toes down, you know.
Yes.
And so,
You know, and it's funny. It's funny that, and oftentimes in sibling households like that, the black sheep is often mislabeled. You know, and you look in and you see that if you look in deeply, you'll see that the black sheep ain't necessarily black as you think he is.
right.
And here with Terry, you know, they wouldn't have probably gone 10 minutes if it hadn't been for Terry and his way of, and his business structure, because Terry seems to understand, or at least he understands that, you know, to grow this business, there's a certain way we have to be. And, you know, and that's exactly what they become. They become exactly who they said they would be. So as far as Meech is concerned, Meech is just out there having fun. But without his brother, he couldn't last 5 minutes.
Well, you know, man, I lost my train of thought because you said something. Go ahead. Never mind.
No, I mean, I'm done, but you know, it's just I like the two together. They belong together. The longer they stay together, the better off they'll be.
Well,
I always think it's kind of funny that when in situations like that, you know, Meech gets blamed, but he's the only one that's kind of being honest.
Yeah, That's
you know,
true.
whereas Terry is the golden child, but he's the one that's deceitful, that's
Yeah,
basically running a empire.
he's
and
living a double life.
Yeah, he is.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
he
true.
is.
You know, and it's the one that's, you know, kind of, if you're gonna say it, that's all into it, trying to make it a gangster thing. And Meech was kind of not approaching it like that.
Yeah, he was not trying to be violent. Oh, that's the thing I was going to say. Next week, the previews look like the family finds out who Terry really is. I think they find out next week that he ain't as innocent as they believed him to be.
Yeah. And you know, at the end of this episode, I really love the commentary that they were talking about where he was saying, you know, you put a frog in boiling water and it doesn't notice it's about to boil to death until it's already too late. And he was like, that's kind of like how this game is, because you get distracted with the cars and the money and the fun of the lifestyle, but you don't realize that before long it's not the game that's changing, it's you that's changing. And it's already too late by then. By the time you realize that, you know, everything that you thought you were trying to achieve is in vain, because I mean, what good is any of it if you can't live to enjoy it or be free to enjoy it? So I really love that commentary at the end, which I think is a little bit like, I know a lot of people talk about these shows and the violence of it, and I don't even think the show is all that violent yet. I mean, it's no worse than some of the other shows that we've seen, but just the fact this is a true life story, but the drugs, you know, that lifestyle that it talks about, being a drug dealer and promoting it as so lavish and everything, I think that it's balanced in the fact that it's showing all of the downside. Like, they're giving you the lesson in the episode, like, look, more bodies leads to more and more bodies. If I go get them, they coming to get my family. It's going back and forth. And then he's saying, you know, it might seem all good, but at the end of the day, when your loved ones is getting taken out or, you know, almost dying, and you are also getting caught up, the stress of the lifestyle, you put one fire out and then another one's getting started over here. It's constantly a battle of putting small fires out.
It's a vicious
cycle. And I think that they're very balanced in showing, yes, it's a great lifestyle, it's fun, and we got the money, but over here you got all of this other stuff to worry about. You constantly got to be looking over your shoulders and worrying about what's next.
But
and that's also, why I wasn't.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It also puts you into this. It gave me a thought, you know, a what if kind of thing. What if you could get, you know, a group of people together and they all saw your vision, which is what Demetrius was trying to get everyone to do. Because, you know, you get caught by, you got little groups wanting to do one thing, and, you know, somebody wants to kill and wants to be leaving bodies in the street, and someone else has a big mouth. But just suppose if you would just get everyone together on one accord, how much bigger they could have been, you know, if Demetrius' plan actually worked. You know, it's you always, and it's, I want to say it's sad, because it is sad.
Well,
you know,
who's to say the plan didn't work? Maybe we just not there yet.
Well, you know, yeah, once they get out of jail and we see how they're living, that's going to be the story. I mean, it will be a story to tell, because I think, as we mentioned, in fact, in the documentary, they said they went from making $1 million a month to $1 million a week. So, you know, you got to have some of that money somewhere.
It's interesting you said that, because as we recap the shows, this is a theme, you know, that someone has a vision, but you can't find the unity to be able to bring the vision to manifest that vision, right? We keep seeing this over and over. So if anything, that's probably the problem, right? Is that, you know, regardless of whether it's in this context of BMF having this drug empire, it's the same thing. We saw it with Malcolm. We've seen it time and time again. It's somebody trying to have a vision to help benefit everybody else, but we can't get everybody else on board because everybody wants to be the chief.
They want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and did you have something else you wanted to add, Tiffany?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I thought you got, you know, cut off. I wasn't sure if you had something to add, but I was just gonna say, in terms of like next week, because you mentioned, you know, Pat talking to Meech, but it seems like it's a lot more going on. You seen the parents questioning Terry, like you said, it seems like he might get found out. But there's also this thing that it seems like Meech is talking in the background about trust. and it looks like Lamar rolls up on Kato and he's pushing her for information. So I'm like, we like Kato, and I don't think she's gonna, give in to Lamar. I think she would rather take whatever is coming her way versus snitching. I think she's
Right.
Yeah, but Lamar better keep his back in check, because you roll up too hard on Kato. Meech isn't like the kind of guy that's just gonna sit by and let his crew get dumped. In fact, Kato said that to the crew, when they were barking about.
Oh yeah, it was going to be a mutiny.
Yeah.
Because they started murmuring like, oh, he's not if he's not even going to stand up for his brother, he ain't going to protect us either. So, I was like, oh boy.
Right.
Yeah, and Terry comes back. It looked like next week he's talking about ruling with an iron fist. So I'm like, he's gonna be ground running. Terry is ready.
Well, this is one of the things I was going to say earlier, that I was kind of with the mom about, Meech moving out. And I'm glad that Meech said, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, because I'm like, in that lifestyle, I mean, it can be death or jail. And when you got family, the more you stay there, you put them
a target too.
And the type of money they were making, there was no reason for him to stay there anyway.
Yeah.
He should have had his own place anyway.
But
I agree. If you can be rolling around in Benzes and whatnot, then you'd be able to move out and get your own spot. And they have more than enough money to do so.
But I think it's good to see that, because we still recognize that these are children. These are very young men, right? They're moving into this very adult, very dangerous game. But at the end of the day, they were kids.
Yeah, Terry got his Mercedes before he could even drive it legally.
And I can understand the mother, because of the fact that, you know what he's doing, it's dangerous, it's wrong. But when he's out of your sight, there isn't anything.
That's true. That's true.
So what little control she believes she might have is all gone if he is out of her sight. And I could see that struggle in her. She understands that her husband, Charles, is right. He's got to go because he's putting us all in danger. But at the same token, once he's gone,
still her child. Yeah.
And now your fear for him is exponential, because you don't know what's happening, what's going on, So I can fully understand, she's at that existentialism, that point where she has to make a decision, and no matter which decision she makes, it's not going to be a good one for her.
Yeah, I mean, if you can see the previews next week, Charles is like, how long have you known? And I'm like, is this something about, money related in terms of the bills? Or is this
I think it's about Terry. I think it's about Terry. I think everything is coming to a head next week as far as them finding out about.
But if she's the mom and she's going through the room finding guns, she's finding other stuff. So she had to know.
That's what I was like, see. Yeah, I think that the fact that all of this stuff is going on in their household and she's trying to protect her kids, she thinks she's protecting them by keeping them close to her, but really it's driving a wedge in her relationship, because that means she has to keep things away from Charles.
Right. Now let's talk about Meech giving a wad of money to
Nicole.
That's gonna be a bigger problem. Because I'm like, how did you go on this trip?
I mean, he gave her a roll that this thing was fat. Okay, it was a fat
earnings, right?
Yeah.
And so he says, keep it away from mom and dad. How would this young girl, what would you expect her to do with that money? I was trying to wrap my head around it when I saw it, but he didn't give her like $100 or $300.
No, he gave her a
wad. I mean, I know that's enough to go on her field trip and then some.
She could buy the field trip. She could buy the bus to go on the field trip.
So she could move out if she wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge problem, especially if, all of a sudden she goes from complaining about not being able to participate and do certain things to all of a sudden, she's kind of like nobody's really paying attention to her. She said that she's tired of being invisible in the family. And so I was like, that could be a good and bad thing, because you're flying under the radar with that money that you got.
Okay, here's my wildest prediction right here. I know maybe a little too soon in it, but here it is. She goes home with the money. Mom's finds the money, takes the money, pays some bills, and is able to keep things quiet with the daughter and not have Charles find out, at least not for the moment. So she gets to go on her trip. Some bills get paid, and all is well that ends well.
Not with Charles, because let him figure out that the bill's getting paid all of a sudden. We ain't in trouble no more. What happened?
Right.
Where did you get this money from?
Hey, you know what?
It's gonna always be a problem.
Even the hardest nosed guy can get soft when it's a dollar. When we talking about dollars and cents, I mean,
he does not want that dirty money.
We saw it in Snowfall. Don't forget. We saw it in Snowfall.
I think Charles is a different kind of man.
He is too, because the thing was, the mom had her own ambitions and she wanted to get in with the real estate and everything. And not that Charles doesn't, because it looks like he's a musician.
He is a musician.
I still think that he does not want that money. He doesn't want any parts of that life.
And it's not even, I think it's less about the money too. It's the fact that they're defying his headship in the house.
But I think also when you think of it as from a man's point of view, like Charles, you could be losing your house. If you lose your house, you're gonna lose your family. And it's just a deeper cut than what we see. And when you have the only option, which is taking some of that money and squaring off, and because what we say in our heads is, okay, we'll take this money, we're going to square off, we're going to even the playing field, and then let's move forward to being the good mom and pop and rolling like everything's good. I can see him thinking that way, because when you're backed up against when your back is against the corner, like a wall, like it is with him, I mean, his world is falling apart. Is he going to really lose the house for his morals? I don't see it. I just don't see it.
It's a tough spot to be in. I mean, you can have all the morals in the world, but when it comes down to it and you ain't trying to be out on the street, I hear you, Ron.
Especially when they working like 3 jobs and this still ain't cutting it.
Exactly. I mean, you at some point you're going to have to. I mean, this circumstances lend themselves. This is why they're in the business to begin with. They were living in an area, they couldn't get jobs. They can't get this. They can't. No, we see it in Snowfall. We saw it in Godfather. That same way and line of thinking is what makes this drug situation so prevalent, because in some respects it's true.
Yeah, and I was thinking too, like, well, once they start legitimizing some of their dealings, maybe that's a way to give the family some legit jobs and some legit sources of income. However, I started thinking back to Raising Kanan last week, and they were talking about anything that's funded with dirty money is dirty, no matter how you chop it up.
No, it's
so
true.
I'm like,
but the lawsuit will help. If we talked about that, if there's an impending lawsuit because of the malpractice with the eye, then that's something the father can live back. You can trace
exactly
what comes in and gets shipped here and there. That's one thing, but you can say from inception, no, this was done legally.
Yeah,
well, that's a good point. So hopefully they pursue that lawsuit then and win it. Because I think you mentioned in real life that was the situation.
Right.
So that could be something that can help them have some money to get out of the hole.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, but it seems like they're in dire straits now. A lawsuit can take LaWanda, lawsuits can take quite a few number of years to settle, particularly when you're suing industry, hospital and stuff like that. It's not a cakewalk.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just think it's demoralizing for the father to be in that position where he isn't able to fully provide, and then your sons are able to do it and to do it abundantly, but the legal means. And so as a man, he's there because, in the other shows that we watch, you don't see a man around, right? Mm-hmm. But you see that he's a father in the house trying to raise his children, trying to do all that he can, and he's trying to be an example for them, and that it doesn't seem to be enough in this paradigm. So I think this is quite demoralizing for him.
Well, if you see the opening of the show, it was started off with young Terry and Meech, and they were looking at these shows and saying, when I grew up, we never wanted to be like all of these other kids' dream jobs. We were looking up to the drug dealers that inspired the New Jack City story. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that kind of stuff, like, it don't matter how good of a parent you are. When your kids are taking in things that they've seen on TV and they start aspiring to different lifestyles of, the YBI crew and, all of those infamous drug organizations, that's kind of what they aspire to. And they had very religious parents and hardworking parents. And
I was gonna say that.
it doesn't matter when your kids are influenced by something else that you didn't even see coming.
Well, we see it in one of the other shows that we used to recap with Raphael. Raphael, he, I don't know if you've been watching, but he's in a situation like that right now. He's trying to make ends meet. They're about to take the farm. He's in this, his back is up against the wall.
Oh, he's not Ralph Angel.
Ralph Angel.
Back is up against the wall, and a buddy of his, comes to him with a plan, and the plan ain't good. And he has to now decide, do I do this and help my family,
baby on the way.
Do I do this, or do I hold with my morals and just let everything fall to hell? I'm gonna tell you, it's very emasculating for a man to be in that situation. And most real men, honestly, will do anything to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And if you have to succumb to drugs, dealing, taking money that we know is dirty, we can always in our minds, try to make some sense of it, but to a brother that's trying to do something with his household and trying to maintain his household, it's not a good place to be.
That's why I think it's good when they kind of like Tiara was saying, they make the commentary, right? So it's this idea that they were living in an environment where there was a lot of lack, or at least that's what they saw, and not just a lack of material resources, but a lack of opportunity, that they couldn't see a way out. And so I think the commentary is as important as the story, because you get the reflection on it, right? You get the opportunity of them having experienced it and grown through it to look back and reflect, to say, for this next generation coming up, if you are in the same position, maybe you can make a different decision. Maybe you can see something that we didn't see. But I think that's what makes the story, makes this story better, is because they're able to add and have that insight, having gone through the experience.
And I think in terms of this generation that we're living in, where these kids make money from the palm of their hands on the phone, I think that drug dealing life is less appealing to them, because they're like, all I got to do is trade a couple of stocks here and there. Let me ride this crypto wave and I can get me a couple thousand a day.
Oh man, create a dance and
mindset for this generation now, whereas back then they didn't have any of those resources to be able to do those. And so we talk about this on a lot of different shows too, how back then they didn't see a way out, they didn't see the opportunity, or they didn't have the opportunity. And a lot of these skills that they learn in the streets are transferable skills. If had they had the chance and the choice, they could have been heads of companies, doing CEO positions, CFOs, like all of those skills are transferable from the streets.
You said the same thing about Bumpy Johnson.
Yeah,
when he had that conversation with Morgenthau. It was like, I could have been a lawyer too, but because the color of my skin,
And in the way we've seen the story with Terry and Meech, like they were very strongly business-minded brothers, and had they had the chance and the opportunity, they probably could have been CEOs of some Fortune 500 company or something like that. The opportunity just wasn't there. And so a lot of people can look down on people in our communities that turn to selling drugs and stuff like that, but for them, that's who they seen that were successful.
Look, let me tell you something. When you look at the most richest people in the world, don't think for 1 minute that their hands aren't dirty. Okay.
That's always my argument. Like when we're talking about the Godfather of Harlem, like the whole system is dirty. So
the whole system is dirty. I mean, you can't make that much money and not get dirty. It's just impossible. So, and you see it in this documentary because they really, the police, I mean, the police organization, DEA, IRS, FBI, they all went out above and beyond to get these guys. And partially because they were Black. And, you know, we can go back in history. We don't have to go back very far in history to know that the white man is surely afraid of us having that kind of hold onto our communities and into you know, America's way of life. So they mentioned in the documentary that they were buying mansions in Buckhead and in Atlanta, and they were like, in Buckhead, if you drop a pen outside, somebody's going to call the police about there's too much noise. And how they were able to infiltrate Buckhead and not one person in Buckhead called the police. When the police came for something, they were saying, they were looking at the police and saying, y'all making too much noise, y'all gotta go. So again, I just say, you know, looking at them and what they were doing, yeah, the money was dirty, yeah, they were doing drugs and all this other stuff, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I bet if you were to ask, where's all those drugs right now? It's distributed somewhere. All that stuff they confiscated, the drugs, the guns and stuff like that, you know.
But they get to be a part of the story because we see that in Snowfall, right? So it's not that you know, that they're the target, is just them doing this, right? So that's the other part of the story that I don't ever want it to be like told in that way, that it's like these people are doing it to themselves and doing it to their own people, as if there is not a hidden hand, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Letting other people off the hook.
Exactly.
Yeah, creating the conditions of lack and impoverishment, and then providing the solution. Here, sell these drugs. So
right.
So
we didn't bring the drugs here.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's got to be a part of the story, since we know we have a season 2. So that's probably gonna be part of this storyline.
They definitely have a lot of material to work with this story.
Yeah. Well, America wants to dress the world in stars and stripes to prove to all America's might. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it's problem.
But I do like Little Meech. I do like him in this role.
I do too.
He brings a different level of intensity to it, I think, because he's probably heard these stories and knows them so well, you know. So I think that kind of comes through on screen.
Yeah. Great job. He's doing a great job.
Provide some authenticity and things. I mean, like, who better to play his dad?
Oh yeah, yeah. That, I'm telling you, 50 Cent, genius. That was, I mean, genius.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job for a first time actor too.
Right. He's holding his own against, you know, all of the other, we talked about the other seasoned actors on the show. He's definitely holding his own.
Yeah.
So I think we are kind of close to probably an hour. So you guys have any last minute things you want to add before we close out?
No.
I think we kind of covered we've given a lot of input and a lot of predictions.
Yeah, because I talked about a lot of the previews already.
Yeah.
Wow. So
we already told y'all who was on our Get the Hands list. Lamar and B-Mickey, y'all can both get these hands this week.
Yes.
So guys who are watching, please let us know how you felt about this episode. Drop down in the comment box and let us know who you think can get the hands as well. Make sure you also subscribe to this channel, like the video, and click the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we post. We're also on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at The Spot Real Talk. So give us a follow on those platforms and we'll follow back. In the meantime, you know, we'll have some conversations with you guys in the comments like we always do, because we love interacting with you guys. And you know, just dump it all on us. Give us your insights, especially if you know any more about the stories in real life than what we've kind of already brought to the table.
Yeah, definitely. I love reading every comment. I mean, you guys are sharp.
Yes. So
but they're spotters. What else would we expect? They're spotters. What else would we expect? I mean, they gotta be sharp.
We expect nothing less from our viewers. We got a sharp viewing audience, so you know it's expected at this point. So thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support us. And thank you for your viewership. Please tell your family and friends to come and hop onto the spot to get them hooked. So thank you guys so much and have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
I told her meet me in the back. That ass fat and she don't know how to act. When she back that thing up on the nigga, it's a rap. I'm just tryna hit it once, I'ma take it to the back. Think she came in with a man, but she leaving with me, yeah. Cause she know that I'm the man. Said she got a plan and she know me from the gram. Oh man, I think she might could be a fan. Made me think twice, so it might could be a scam. Oh yeah, might be fire. But one thing I hate is a liar. Cause I don't know who you was prior. Tryna set a nigga up, you could try, but whoa, these hoes ain't loyal. Probably took your number, but you know I